Okay, this is for you who are traveling. One of the first steps you want to do, especially as a truck driver and a new truck driver, is you want to get a very good map book. Now, I like Rand McNally, and I like to laminate it. And the reason I like to laminate it is because with the laminated, you have a tendency, especially in trucking, you have a tendency to dump stuff. So I like to laminate it. And in Rand McNally, in the front of the book, you're going to find, fuel tax information, for various states. You're going to find hazmat tips and facts, how to inspect your tractor trailer. That's all in the front of the book. I can get the page to turn. Tips and facts, hazmat identifiers. But, some state policies, how to, weight and size limits. Please pay attention to that. There's all kinds of interesting information in the front of the map book. Okay, you'll have low clearance locations per state. Like in Connecticut, there's a whole bunch of them, right? So when you're doing trip planning, let's get over here. Okay, United States map, right? All these nice little blue lines is highways. Okay. Now, when you're trip planning, you want to go, let's say you want to go from the East Coast to the West Coast. And you want to get, let's say, from, all right, I'm just going to use my area, Richmond, Virginia, all the way over here to Sacramento, California. Well, you would think that you would just go, okay, we're just going to get up here and we're just going to follow the highway, right? But if you follow Highway 80, that's what this is, right? Highway 80. It's going to take you up in some mountainous areas. You see the little mountain symbols? Up by Salt Lake City, Utah. Okay? It's going to take you through a whole bunch of stuff up north, especially in the wintertime. Okay? But if I'm starting out down here in Richmond, I can tell you going 64, this is not flat. This is all mountains going up through Appalachian. Okay, and you can run 64 right on across, right through Kentucky, right through St. Louis, and you can run 64 for quite a while. Okay, you can run it for quite a while. And 64 will drop you off and become 70. It'll run right into 70. It ends in St. Louis, by the way, if you didn't know that. And you can run 70. Well, 70 is going to put you up through Denver, Colorado. And I can guarantee you Denver is not flat, because you got all these mountains here, right, up through Colorado. So in the wintertime, you'll hear a lot of people saying, well, I-40 and below. And the reason I say I-40 and below is because the likelihood of snow and ice is lessened if you're down south. But part of your trip planning is to figure out, okay, what is the best route for the weather that I'm going through? And you have to look at that, and you have to look at your state maps, right? You have to look at it, okay, and get an idea of how you're going, okay. You need to do this. You need to periodically, even though I know most companies now will route you, you need to periodically have a map book. Okay? I'm just going to open this to a random state. Alright, we're in Montana. Likelihood of you going to Montana is pretty low. But let's say that you're coming to Billings, Montana, and you're coming from out west to Billings, Montana. But right smack dab right here, the highway is closed due to an accident, multi-car accident, whatever. So you're going to have to be able to route around that to get to Billings. So this is why you have a map. Okay? And one of the things about reading a map is you have to know, okay, what roads could I take a tractor trailer down? It's not guaranteed, because cities have a tendency to close down areas and highways to tractor trailers due to their weight. So, and their height. So if you have an RV, and that RV happens to be of a certain weight or certain style, typically the Super Cs, you need to be using this, because some of these roads that they'll detour you on, you can't go down, and you'll come up on a road closure, and they'll detour you off, and there'll be no signs or anything to tell you where to get back on the highway. Okay, this is why you have the map. Now, I like Rand McNally's map, like I said, but I don't rely exclusively on Rand McNally's map. I also use the GPS on my phone. I also use Google Satellite, Google Earth, to get a visual of the roads. Okay? Yes, it might take you 20-30 minutes to do this extra step, but in the long run, it's going to save you a ton of headache. If you don't know how to read a map, I would highly suggest that you go online and you take some map reading classes. Okay? Because I can't teach you how to read a map. That is something, there's so much involved in it. Like orange roads, is this a single or double road? Okay. Can that be weight limited? I got to go to the front of the map book to see, is that road listed as being weight limited? I can go online and look at that state and look up that road in that state to find out, okay, is that road restricted? Is it limited? Is it on the list of roads that you can't take? Now, along with all this, while you're doing your trip planning, is you also need to get good weather information for what you're driving into. Now, when I was driving over the road, used Sirius XM. Okay, I absolutely love that, and I would highly recommend that if you're going to be driving over the road or traveling consistently. I highly recommend that you get some kind of weather app where you can look up various cities along your route to see what the weather is like. Because I can tell you from experience, especially going up over Cabbage. Uh, it could be sunny down at the bottom, and by the time you get up to the top of Cabbage, it could be a blizzard. So you want to take a look at the weather into the states that you're going, what's actually happening. You want to take a look at, here's a good one, New Jersey. New Jersey. Everybody loves New Jersey, right? New Jersey and New York. This is a metropolitan area, a whole thing, okay? I can guarantee you that in New Jersey, your Qualcomm or your Samsung or whatever mapping system that you're using, I can guarantee you is not going to tell you that, oh, hey, that road has got a 11-line bridge. Those are prevalent in those big cities. They are absolutely prevalent. So that's where Google Earth comes into play. That's where some of your satellite programs come into play, because then you can route yourself by the satellite and see it. Now, this is work. I mean, this is why you're getting paid as much as you're getting paid from these companies, is because they're hiring you as a professional. And a professional, even though their driving is done for the day, and they've gone in, you've taken your shower, you've eaten your dinner, all you really want to do is lay down and go to sleep. Well, you need to map out your next day. You need to do that, okay? You need to also do a pre-trip and a post-trip on your truck, okay? I see that so many times, and nobody does a pre-trip or a post-trip. But this is about trip planning. You absolutely need to do that every day. You need to start making that a habit, okay? While you're having your first cup of coffee, just look at the map, see which route you're going, okay? Look online, online to see if there's any closures going on ahead of you. Obviously, you're not going to avoid everything, right? Look at the weather along your route. This could be 5-10 minutes in the morning. Okay, I see nothing on my route. Everything looks good on my route as I start out. Now you go and you do your pre-trip. And what I used to do is I used to take a post-it note, and I'd have my route written on the post-it note, like I-64 to I-77 south to I-40 west. Okay? I would just have that on the post-it note for that day. Now, once you get used to driving over the road, you're probably not going to need the post-it note. You're probably just going to be able to go, okay, yeah, I've got to go from here to here, and you just know that's the route you got to take. That does happen with older drivers. If I were to leave here, I would drop down and run 40. I would go south and then go west. I mean, that just made sense. Okay. From where I'm sitting at now, if you're up north, well, everything is going south, right? If you're down south, everything's going north. So your starting point is going to be different for each of us, okay? But you can kind of alleviate delays and slowdowns if you kind of try and look at, okay, what is the weather doing where I'm going? Am I running into a huge rainstorm? Am I running into a dust storm? Is New Mexico or Arizona, are they experiencing dust storms? Am I running into a tornado? Trust me, been there, done that. Okay. There's another thing that you want to look at. So You really need to, if you're new to trucking and you're with your trainer, you really need your trainer to teach you trip planning. Because trip planning 100% is going to help you in the long run. If you don't do any trip planning and you're just counting on the company to route you, let me tell you what happened to me. Now I'm going to give you a story. This is what happened to me. I was driving with, yes, I'm going to say it, Swifty Swift. I love Swift. Don't get me wrong, I love Swift. However, the Qualcomm routed me, and I'm going to pull it up here so y'all can see what the hell I'm talking about. The Qualcomm routed me from North Carolina going into Tennessee. It routed me along, here we go, this little road. You've never heard of it, it's called the Dragon's Tail. Please don't go on the Dragon's Tail. Okay? It takes you from North Carolina into Tennessee. Okay? It's a beautiful motorcycle route. Note, I said motorcycle route. At the time, it was a legal truck route. And that's how the Qualcomm routed me. To go 52 miles took me 5 hours. Because that entire road was tilted and it was tight, winding curves around the mountain. I almost slid off the mountain 3 times. I can guarantee you by the time I got on the other side of that mountain, I told myself I am never taking this route ever again. And I had to stop and get out of the truck and take about an hour and a half to stop shaking. That's why trip planning is important. Trip planning will save you tons of time. It will save you from that doofus that's sitting in the office that's routing you, that is thinking of a car and has no clue that you are 72 feet plus in length and that you just can't turn on a dime. I can't tell you how many times I've had dispatchers tell me, well, just do a U-turn. You can't just do a U-turn in a big rig. Please don't do U-turns unless you absolutely have to. And then, if you have a team driver with you, please have that team driver get out and look and make sure you're not taking out signposts, telephone poles, cars. If you think you got enough room to do a U-turn, in your mind, double that space. I highly recommend that you never do a U-turn, that you go down and do a left turn and a left turn and a left turn to make your U-turn, if possible. But this is trucking. We know that sometimes we have no choice but to make a U-turn. So you want to be as safe as possible if you have to do that. Trip planning will help you a lot in avoiding that. it won't avoid all of it, because one of the things that routing gets you off of the Qualcomm and off of your Samsara is it will tell you one way to get into a customer, and then you come up and there's a medium between you and the customer. Now you got to go down, you got to do a U-turn and come back in order to get into the customer, because that's the routing that they were given from the customer, and the customer has no clue, again, that you're 72 feet long and 13.6 or 14.2 or 15.9 tall. That's why everything is going to come falling back on you as the driver on trip planning. Now, I can go through and I can tell you how I do it. I check the weather. If I'm going from the East Coast to the West Coast, I'm definitely checking the weather en route every day. I'm going to try and, especially in the wintertime like now, I'm going to try and drop south so I stay out of as much ice and snow as I can. But I'm going to take into consideration that that's going to increase my amount of time from point A to point B. It's also going to increase my fuel. And since everybody's doing that, I know that I'm going to have to leave early and park early, because the truck stops are going to fill up by noon, 1 o'clock. Okay? You can't avoid everything on the road, but you can take the time and do a good trip planning, and this will help alleviate a lot of issues like running out of fuel. Well, good trip planning, you're going to know that you have 5 truck stops en route, and you're going to plan your fueling stops according to however big your fuel tanks are. You're just going to know that because you've trip planned. You've looked at the truck stop book. You've looked at the map book. You know, okay, I'm going to go 500 miles today, and at the 500-mile mark, I'm going to stop at such and such a truck stop or such and such a rest area, and we're going to park there overnight, and then we're going to go on in the morning. Now, it alleviates a lot of that issue. It's not going to alleviate everything. Because let's say that you did your trip planning, but that you come up to the truck stop and you're a little bit later than what you expected to get into the truck stop, and you get to the truck stop and there's no parking. Well, some of us know how to make parking, but 9 times out of 10, you're going to have to fuel, and you're going to have to go down further. So I always, when I did my trip planning, I always plan A, B, C. So I would start looking in the 9th to 10th hour of where to park of my drive time. I tried to never run all the way up to the 11th hour to where I did not have at least 30 to 45 minutes to where if I had to go down the road, I could find another truck stop. It's just how I did it. Not saying that's how you should do it. I'm just saying that that's how I did it, because you never know. There could have been an accident and everybody got held up, so everybody went to the truck stop and parked, right, because they ran out of time. So you don't know. So you always want to have a plan A, B, and C. So plan A, this is where I'm going, this is the route I'm taking. Plan B is, okay, now I'm going to drop down to my secondary route, and I'm going to do that. And plan C, wow, okay, yeah, this is really a bad week, this is really a bad run. Now we're on plan C route, and now we're going to have to make up a new plan A and plan B once we got stopped. because now that totally changes the entire route, because I had to reroute myself to get around whatever was going on in front of me. Be it a tornado, snowstorm, rainstorm, dust storm, major accident, road closure due to overpass collapse, right? Trip planning, folks. Do some trip planning, okay? And it'll help you in the long run. It's not going to solve all your issues, obviously, but if you have a basic trip plan, you at least have an idea of how to and which way you're going, okay? How many times have you seen new drivers, especially, they get going and they're going east instead of going west, and now they've got to turn around and they've just wasted 2-3 hours because, hey, there's no exits where they can get turned around easily. Okay? Please, whatever you do, please, 100%, do never, never, ever, 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 never, 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 never do a U-turn on the highway through the median. Never, ever, ever do that. Don't do that. Okay, that's all I got to say. Bicycle.